Greetings and welcome to Factorio. I'm Dgray, and today we continue our Let's Play of Krastorio 2. And as always, please remember to like this video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. It will help me out a lot. And with that out of the way, let's get on with today's episode. So, last episode we got our rail network set up, at least the part of it, going into our coal outpost. And today we want to do some kind of setup where we can transport the resources back to the main base and have some kind of way we can deliver it to the base. That is kind of what I'm going for. So firstly, I want to do a few changes to these. One of them, I want to just not have them as predecessor providers. I want to keep them as warehouses. And I'll show you why in just a sec. So let's just get some warehouses first. And of course we don't have any storage, so we'll go and change that afterwards. But the reason for that is that I'm going to use our logistic network as the way to control the train, so I don't want that to interfere with that. So firstly, let's just go back to our base. Now we at least have a train, so we can travel around in style. And leave this one as is for now. So I actually thought we did have warehouses set up, but we didn't set up the big ones. Seems so, so we'll just do that right now. Let's go down here, add in a few, and we need this one. Don't know how I forgot to, but it seems we do have it. Oh, we're just out of steel beams. Because we're not requesting anything. Medium container. It's all steel beams. Let's just get that sorted quite easily. We'll just add in a few steel beams down here. Just to get things going. Steel beam, please. There we go. That should give us enough steel beams to get some warehouses made. And that should make it a bit easier to manage. Also want to set up what's it called, a few of our other chests. That being the 4 that we need. One of the things I really want to get is active provider chests. I want to get buffer chests. Are we making the other ones? We have them here already. Never mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we have them already. Never mind. I had completely forgotten about that. But now we have these being made. These are being made, transported down. We should soon have what we need to finish our outpost. But before that, I'm just going to take our train to a place where I want to do our expansion for getting coal in as the first thing. So the way I've planned it is that I want to use this area for getting resources in. So maybe have some kind of supply area over here where we have parked the resource we need, for example, a coal area and a coal unloading area. Do the same up top with different things. I think that could be a good way to do it and to make sure we always have enough resources flowing in. So firstly, let's just get ourselves a little setup. Just gonna back up the train a bit. To here. And say, I kind of want something that looks like this. So in theory, I could just take this one. Go back here and add it in. Maybe somewhere like this. Of course, we'll have to remove the few that's wrong. And then we'll get this connected up to our track. Since we are using right-hand drive, we'll have to connect it up right here. That's gonna make sure that we have some way of getting into our supply stop area. And soon we're gonna get to the exciting part to see if I can set up some correct depots with supply and demand. Might just steal this one in terms of going in, or we can probably do one where we can fit it a bit easier. These can be stacked as close as we want. We don't really need to keep that much room, so we could, in theory, let's see how close can we make it. Kind of want to make one as tight as possible to fit in as many trains as we need, or as we want even. And it seems this might work if we do something like that. Then we need some supply stops where we can have the trains in between. We'll have you come out this way and go south as well, so we have it going all places. So we need to get you away. So let's see here. You can then continue up this way, right hand drive, and I want you to continue down this way as well if that is needed at some point, in case you want more coal around the place. So this is fine. Let's hook up a few of these to divide in our tracks. Of course, going in, I want to use a chain signal. And then we'll have a few rail signals controlling the rest of this. Just dividing it up a small amount, and there we are. That has moved it into some blocks. Yeah, that looks good. I think that'll work just fine. We'll have to do the same in here to make sure we don't block our track when doing this. Of course, when we look at the input down here, we want it to be a chain signal. And it's quite important to make sure we don't have more trains going into the same stop. So this one will be, let's call it coal supply 1 for coal supply 1 area. And then I kind of want to do this. Since I want more of them, quite a few here, what if we just do this and take out those? I think this will work as a setup, and then we can stack them quite nice and tightly right here. Let's do 4 for now, as the way we're gonna handle it. Of course, I think these will do the job to make sure we don't have things going in incorrectly. Because that means this one will check the signals up here to make sure there's room to go in before sending in another train, so having a backlog. I think that will solve it very nicely. Could go all the way to the end and add in a fuel stop. I'll talk about fuel stops in just a little bit, but they are quite important for the way TSM works, our train supply manager. So what if we just add in the tracks that are needed? Can we do it like this to get it all to fit in? Maybe. Don't know how many we should stack. But right now we are just stacking a lot. Let's get the rest delivered to see how this looks. We'll need some of these going out. So let's just make a huge supply stop here the first time. That looks good. And that is fine. We'll have to drag up one from the back here as well. Just get you to the end so we can see how much room we need. But that should give us a lot of coal stops. There we are. Coal supply 1. It doesn't matter, they're called the same from what I understand, so we're going to try with that for now. And let's just get the rest of them in. To, let's say, right here. And remove this part. Sometimes you do fuel depots other places. I want to try and do it inside one of these. And it is quite important that we get a fuel depot for the way train supply manager works. So if we put one here, I think there has to be a supply depot as well. And if you go into options, I think we can see it here, mod settings. This is the amount it needs before it starts refueling. And that is something that's quite important. We'll also have to call this one fuel stop. Let's call it 1. Because from what I understand from the mod alpha, the name fuel stop is hard coded into the mod, so we have to have that as a way to get what's called resources in, or trains to get here. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do it with requested chess. That's going to supply, what's it called, fuel to our trains. I think that'll be the best way to do it. So let's just get ourselves a few of these. Let's just keep 50 on us at a time. And no more than that. That might actually be overkill, but then we have a few buffered up. And right there. That'll make sure that our trains always have fuel. And that is kind of what I'm going for. We'll have to get about 600 buffered here, since that's how much that fits in one train. So let's just get that flown in for now. So I think this could be our setup for supplying, what's it called? Or pretty much a setup for handling trains. We can have 9 train buffered of coal in this one. And hopefully that is enough. That is at least what I want to see. So now for the next part. We could get a train to try and get some resources first. That could be quite fun to try. So it can get in, it can get out, and it can turn. So we should be able to set it up. So let's just try it right here. The way this works is that right now this is pretty much connected to this network, and we need 2 things for it to work. One, oh, it's not accessible from here. We don't have a turning point, so that's a bad place to put it down. Let's put it right here instead so it can actually turn. One, 2, 3. So as I said before, 1, 2 trains is what I'm going to go with. That holds about 8,000 ore at a time. And that means when we go in here and say, I want you... Oh, it has a different color. That looks quite cool. That's good. We want you to go to coal supply and wait until... what is it I'm about to say? Until circuit condition is 1. That is quite important. If we don't do that, it won't work. That is some of the few things you have to set up for it to do it correctly. The next thing you have to do is hard code in the outpost you want it to go to, and then to until cargo is full. So what this does is it'll go here and it'll wait until get a certain condition. And then it'll go and drop it off, and then it'll go to an outpost and pick up more resources afterwards. For now, let's just try and give it some fuel and see if it will work. Because that is quite important to figure this out. So let's see here. That has fuel in it. That means as soon as we start this one, it should go to the outpost and fill up with fuel, and then go, or fill up with things. Maybe go back here and get some fuel, and then go and wait here for our next part. So let's try. It's now running. We can set it to go to the next one. That is pretty much the coal outpost. I want to try one thing. If we just deactivate it. And this is not what I've planned, but it's going to be fun to see. What if we do it the other way around? Because all trains want to go to an an outpost first, and then I want to go to supply, what's called a supply stop. But when I was testing this, this gave me a bit of an issue, but let's try again. So let's try this. Now we will go to an outpost, go back to here, and then it should be good. Let's just watch it go the first time. We'll go up here, go in here, start to be loaded. And if it messes up right now, we know we have to do it the other way around, since that is quite important. So there we go, loading onto it a lot of coal until we have about 8k in it, or exactly 8k in it, and then it will go back to the supply area and wait. But we also have fuel stop now, but it'll always go back here, so when it goes to a request in the future, it'll go to fuel stop afterwards. This one was auto-generated, so we don't have to worry about getting fuel to the trains anymore. It's not accessible from here. Did I not connect everything up correctly? Seems there is something wrong with the path. Let's just check our connections. There shouldn't be anything wrong. It should be able to get here quite easily. Is it because there's more than one? That shouldn't be an issue. So why are you not wanting to go? Do you see anywhere where there's a break in the line? Is it because the way it goes in here? Let's just test with another train if that is the case. Because I can't see why it should be complaining at the moment. Can't you go in? That is exactly why. It can't go in from that position. So we'll have to move you a bit. Might have to move it up one, but that's quite strange. I was quite sure I tested this beforehand. But it seems like we might have to do it here instead for it to connect up to this one. So let's just do that quickly. Shouldn't be that much of a problem. Unless we can't get this one in now. We'll have to remove you, and you can probably stay the same. So now we can go in and start. That should probably get this one moving. That is correct. And then we just need to hook up the rest of these that kind of got into some problems with us doing this. Let's just get all of you removed. Here it comes, and it's going to wait in our supply station until it gets a request. And that is pretty much the power of this mod, that we can just do this and have a nice supply of trains. So can we just hook all of this up now? Is this where it needs to be? It is, so get you away. And let's just do this and that. Now they're all hooked up correctly. Now we just need to fit in the rail signals. So to make sure we don't have things in the wrong spots. There we are. That is all divided up. And we still need to remember to put down a chain signal here at the entrance. I think right here will be good, or we can do it right here. I think will work as well. Might do one here as well, so the train can get past a bit faster, in case we have something in the way. There we are. I think this should do what we needed to. At least now we have it here. As soon as we go from this one, we can start to look at the next part. And that is pretty much fixing the unloading. So I want to make this one an unloader. Let's just get this away to make it a bit easier to manage. And we can just go straight across even, that's what I'm trying to say. Oh, let's get that back, to be honest. I want to use it as a measuring stick. And then I want to unload into, I think I'm gonna make it active providers. It has a few good points doing that, since we can use it for more things than one. We can also just use it or keep them as passive providers and just have one stop for each resource. But that way in the future it might not work. Well, we'll only get one resource in here, so we could just do it with active providers. Oh, sorry, passive providers. I think that might work. Just having a nice big buffer in this one as the way to go for it. Let's try with passive. I think that's gonna be fine. Firstly, let's just take this one and see how it fits in to have some kind of indication of how we want the tracks to go. Could probably take all of this and say that is the same way here. So please get that down. Of course, we can skip these. And we'll just flip it around and do it on this side as well. We'll then want a request station. Luckily it lines up because we saw that from the other place. Just need to get some power poles down. There we go. And now we have a request station. Let's call this coal. Let's call it coal requester 1. So this is pretty much what's going to send out a signal for this side to supply a coal train to it. Let's just get you hooked up right here. And we'll need you to hook you up back to this one. So you can go away for a sec. And I don't know what kind of settings they've changed, but something has messed a bit up with the what's the ghost settings, which is a bit annoying, but it's fine. Let's get some tracks in. Where are they at? Yeah, just give me 100. That's enough for now. And while they're getting here, let's just activate a bit more things we want out the way. Maybe get laser turrets. About time we get that. That means we get personal as well quite soon. Cargo size might be good. And some of this. There we are. So here comes train tracks. And we need you to hook up the same way as we did over here. But how do we hook it up right there? Because that is working in terms of this. So we should be able to do this and line it up the same way. And hopefully that means that the train can continue the way we want it to. So let's see here. I want it to go straight and this way. Yeah, that seems like that is fine. Can you also go this way if needed? You can. Okay, so that's perfect. That fits in very nicely. I think we can probably do the same here. I don't know why we couldn't get it to line up. If we do it here, we can, but that's going to mess up. Yeah, we'll do this for now. I'm not quite sure we had it going across here at some point. But for some reason this is annoying me a little bit. Because we need you pretty much to go this way, and that's the only place it can do it. So we'll do with this for now, and then maybe change it in the future when I figure out what is wrong. So that is that. That means we have an input for our coal. We'll just clear the things we have on these. And now that we have this, I actually have to do one thing before this so we don't mess things up. Please change from this one to normal warehouses. That is quite important that we get these changed over here. This one and these two. Otherwise they will interfere with the calculations we're about to do. So if we place down a rubber port, or before that, we'll place down what is quite important, what's called a train requester. That is pretty much what controls all the circuitry of this one. Because this one I can't click, but when it's inside 2 of this, you can click this one instead. This one has to be hooked up to either circuit network, we can do that by hooking these up, or we can hook it up to what's called logistic network with a rubber port. And I want to use a rubber port since I want our base to be somewhat modular. So let's just get our rubber port down. I'll just place it right here. That should also be inside power range. Then what we need to do, should just place it a bit back so I give myself a bit of room to work with. That is one too far out. I want it, here's fine. So what I want to do to make a very simple setup, I want to hook this up so if there's less than, let's say, 100k coal in a system, it'll go request some and put it into these chests as a buffer for coal. That is at least what we're doing now. So what we can do is we can connect this one up to the light. We can connect the light up to the train counter. Oh, sorry, we don't need to connect. Just forget what I just said. We don't connect these two up. But this one, what this does is that in simple terms, you can just say if, where's at this one, if the number of trays on the way is less than 0, nothing's going to happen. But if we change this one to 1, it's going to request 1 train. And now the thing is, how does it know what train to request? I know we called it coal, but we don't want to set a train to do it ourselves. So what we can do is, you see at the top left that opens? That's a priority schema. So that means you will go and take things for wherever something with this schema is at. So before we do that, we open our UI. Here's a list of supplier train stops. Here's a number of requesters. And here's the supplier source priorities. So what I want to do is, if any of our requesters has, I'm going to use coal as the defining things, it will take from coal supply 1. So it means that this resource and this ID selects coal supply 1 as where to get the resources from. That means when we look at this one, we'll have to say, let's close some of these things down, that this requester takes items from what is called coal, and it knows that's coal supply 1. And that means that this one knows it has to take coal when this circuitry is correct. So in case I'm not completely wrong now, I should be able to say change this to a 1 and it should request a train. Let's just give it a try and test it. That turned it on. That said, please request this train. It added in, what's it called? The coal requester. Oh, we forgot to, we turned these the wrong way. But let's look at this train. Now it's going to go to fuel stop. That's why I want to go straight across. But what should have happened if I had put these in correctly? These should have changed around. And it's going to request 1 more train now, since this one is still 1. But let's just flip these around so we can actually see what should have happened. That reason why it went back is just because it has a 5 seconds of inactivity, is what to stop it. So you can see we still have 1 request for this one. But this one is right now recharging fuel, since we had less than 20 of the fuel source in the inventory. Not quite sure how that's calculated, but right now it's at least getting filled up with fuel. Gonna go all the way to 600, since that is how much it can hold. And then it's gonna go back to this place. And that is why I want this one to go straight across. So It doesn't have to go all the way back to the outpost as it is right now, filling up, going to supply, and then it's ready. So let's just see here. So that's the way the one worked. While the train comes back, we can do the next thing. Because I don't want this one to be a constant. So what I want to say is, as long as trains are less than an arbitrary thing, let's say P. So if P is greater than the number of trains that gets here, it will activate. So how do we get the number P? Or pretty much just input something into this. What we can do is, let's see here, I'll grab in here on this side combinator. Here's coal going into these. That is perfect. I'll add in a decider combinator to right there. That'll output a 1 in case we have it. Let's see if I can remember how to do this correctly, if this is the way to do it. Because, oh wait, we have to do coal. So if, let's see, if strain is less than coal, because we're gonna output coal on this one. Or maybe we can do it each. I haven't really tested it out. Where's at? Oh, there used to be an each. Strange. Let's just say coal instead then. And then we'll connect this one up to here. And say, as you can see on the right now, it shows us how much coal and things we have in our network. So we want to say if, oh here's the each and anything one, if coal is less than, let's say, 50,000 or 100,000, let's go 100,000, it will output, we can do 1 coal or we can do 1 P. I kind of want to set it to P to have it the same everywhere. So right now this one is outputting 1 P. Let's just show you. That's outputting 1 P. Then if in here we say P as we had before, so if this is less than P, it'll output 1. Right now trains are 0 on the way. That means if we hook this one up to the lights, it should request a coal train that is standing by over here, because we are less than 100k in storage. So if I do this, this should work as intended. So connect you up to that one. That will request 1 train, then it'll turn off since we have 1 on the way. And then it's good. There we go. And now it's going. Then as soon as this one has left, this one is going to go to 0 and then 1 straight away again, since the trains on the way or at the station is less than 1. And then we should be able to just keep going. If I hooked it up to these instead of the robotic network, we could say it to each instead to make it modular. But that requires us to do some other things with these. So as you can see, it's requesting another one since now we have 32,000 in our network where we had 24 before. So that should mean that we can add more trains to this. Not quite sure how it's gonna handle this, to be honest. Haven't tested it that well yet. Let's get ourselves some trains and a few more wagons. There we are. So what if we just do this right now? 1, 2. This might completely ruin our setup. We will find out in just a minute. I'm just gonna grab some of these so they don't go to a fuel stop right away. That should mean that they skip the first fuel stop. This one's going. It's gonna go straight out and over to that one because we're still missing coal. Just gonna change one thing. Oh, never mind. We'll just let it run. Slowly gonna fill up. Let's add some wagons to this one. Let's set up our circuitry we need. We'd like to go to an outpost, wait until 4. We'd like to go to supply, wait until circuit condition is greater than 1. That is pretty much what we need to do. You can add that onto all of these. And I have a feeling we might make some kind of gridlock now if we activate this, since we don't have any way of turning the other one off. And that is something I'm still working out, how to make sure we don't have too many things. We could have just 2 going to that train stop maybe. So instead of having all 5, we'll just have 2. And then expand after how much it needs. So if we do this one, that'll go to the outpost. Even though there's 1 train here already. That is why I want to watch out with how many we do it. So let's do this, because that way we can have 2 going at all times. Maybe even 3 because of the travel time. But I want to make sure we don't have them going all the way out here onto the track, because that would be quite bad. Right now we can have 1 in here, we can have 1 buffering, should be able to fit in, without blocking the train tracks. So what if we have just... Let's try this. Let's activate all of them just to see how it goes, because that is the fun thing about trying this. That is of course gonna jam our system back here, and that might have a deadlock all the way out here. So 1 going in, a second here, and 1 crossing. But as soon as they start to get emptied, we should be able to fill them as fast as we empty them. So that shouldn't be an issue going forward. But as you can see, that's why you have to watch out with how many trains you set on this. Not quite sure if you can limit this one the same way, so it only sends 1 when needed. But if not, we'll just keep this one. And it's slowly filling in. Might have to get more drones to work with us to supply this even faster. But that is pretty much the way this works. That means as soon as this one is done, it's going to go back here and park in all of these, so we can't have more than what we have here as supply. And as soon as this one drops below 100k, it will request another train. Oh, that's dangerous. So let's just see it here. If I change you to not 100, but let's change it to 75k instead. Then we'll just get 1 more train in, because we already sent a signal. I might send 1 out right away. But we're not getting, look, now we're not getting a 1 anymore, and that should stop it. That just means that when these trains start to go back, we will, of course, look at this deadlock. That is an issue. And it could be a reason why we shouldn't have this many. Maybe just 2 or 3 running at a time will be fine. But I might just remove a few of them in between episodes. But that is pretty much the gist of it. Now we should be able to just copy paste this around the world, having supply maybe iron and copper above this one, and then have all of this running, supplying our base with everything we need, where the robots can just grab and put it into whatever we are trying to build here. So resources from far away will get in by a train, and inside the base it will be moved by a robot. That is pretty much what I want. So now this should just wait here. But as I said before, we had 1 request already. So this is the last train that goes in. And the next one that goes in will just wait. And that is completely fine. So with that, I will end this episode. Sorry for the long talk. Hopefully you enjoyed the way I explained this. I hope I did it correctly. As I said, it's the first time I played with this mod, so it gets more and more simple the more I play with it. But for now at least, this should give me a system that works the way I want it to. So now we can just add in maybe a second train stop if needed, or we'll just leave it as this if you want double trains in. But for now, this is at least what I'm going with. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Hopefully you'll join me next time, where we will set up copper and iron trains as well. And if you do want to see that, please remember to subscribe if you're new to the channel, and like the video to help me out. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I've been Dgray, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.